Welcome to the first episode of the We Make Pops podcast. My name is Lewis from LV Custom Pops.
I'm Andy from Sleepyhead Customs.
And on this show, what we want to do is we want to talk about our pop customizing journey, bringing on other creators so they can go ahead and do the same, talking about anime and anything nerd focused. And just making this a place that the pop customizing community can really come together and become a more sociable place.
We're colleagues until death do us part.
So let's get started. We could talk about, you start. How did you get into customizing pops?
So I actually got into customizing through like three different avenues. So initially I just had my collection, my Dragon Ball collection, which isn't on screen here. And I really wanted to have pops from the movie Broly, which you can actually see my poster right here.
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorite anime movies. And so I saw a recipe, if you will, on a Reddit post of how someone made the Sav jackets for Goku and Vegeta. So I thought that was super cool and I wanted to do that. So I tried to follow the recipe. And I wasn't having a ton of luck. So I kind of put it on the back burner and I didn't really think about it again up until I saw a family member of mine posting that they had gotten their spouse a custom pop of them at their barber shop. So I thought that was a super cool gift. And I reached out to the creator that had made it, which was actually the Vinyl Alchemist. And so I looked at his page and I saw all the different stuff he had done. And I guess I kind of decided to jump in head first at that point. And so my first customs were a Goku and Vegeta in their Sav coats. I watched his YouTube channel. I saw how he manipulated clay. I stopped trying to entirely rely on the pre-made parts because what I was trying to do, and I'll post pictures of it here on screen, I was trying to use the Akatsuki robe for the Sav jackets, which has a different form. It wasn't like compatible with the head size of the Super Saiyans with the huge hair. And so I just made my own cloaks and I added clay to existing sculpts, and that was how I got to make their jackets. And then I got into my rabbit hole and I decided, now that I've made these two, I want to make other pops from the movie. And so branching off into that, I made Gogeta and Broly, Hinata.
That's awesome.
What about you? You have an extremely unique style, something that I don't see a lot of creators doing. How did you get started? How did you settle on that style?
So for me, before I started customizing, I had kind of collected Funko Pops. I had one shelf that had just like my favorites and just some Marvel stuff, anime stuff. And not until I got onto Instagram, I just decided to look up Funko Pops because I was like, I want to see what other people are collecting or what other cool pops are out there. And that's when I ran across the custom ones. And I was like, people are actually just repainting these. That's pretty cool. And that's when it gave me the idea. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, there's a few pops I have that I love the mold, but I don't like the color scheme or the outfit. And I was like, I could just repaint that myself. Like that seemed so interesting. And I had run across Deep Thought Studios. His DT Studios has kind of the same style where it's just very heavy lines and like the scuff marks and the expressions on their faces. I just fell in love with that. So I was like, I can absolutely try that. I was like, I don't know if I could do it, but I could try it. So yeah, I fell in love with that. My first one was an Iron Man. That I just wanted to repaint to look like the old school Iron Man. So I fell in love with it then. And that's when it started my collection addiction, because I was like, I can find more and I can do more. And I just kept collecting just to customize. And that's when I became more serious as a collector. I was like, this is cool to collect sets and different collections of these animes, especially how big some of my favorites like My Hero and Demon Slayer, they have so many different options. And so yeah, I just dove right in and just started using paint pens and painting on the faces, using some acrylic paints because I can't cover the whole area on certain parts. But yeah, it became such a fun passion. And that's about a month in, I finally got the courage to start posting it on Instagram. I was like, let's see what other people think, because I was like, I was curious to see how if they liked it and stuff. And yeah, it went pretty well. I got an all right, reception. And so yeah, I thought it hooked me and I fell in love with customizing and just looking at other people's customs too, because you have like True Technique who does the 3D models that are insane. And just it's very fun to see the different styles of whether it's clay making or just acrylic paints or black and white, black light. Like it's cool to see everyone's styles and different the way that we inspire each other too, because it gives you ideas of like, oh, I could do that with this pop, and it's so exciting.
That's one thing I really love about this community is that a lot of people will, like one person made a Baryon mode and I thought it was super cool. I shared it to my story. And it was like it signaled the community, because I swear I saw like 3 other Baryon modes that day, and they all had such unique takes on it. Some people like made the robe out of like resin, some people made it out of clay. And it was just really cool to see how everyone kind of had their own take on it. I actually personally had a rule to myself that I would not add any other customizers items to my collection on the basis of I want to make it myself. But your style is something I could not emulate, so I actually have the one you sent me right up here.
Yep.
And I'll post a video of it on the camera here. But I love that heavy line style.
Yep.
That just like it gives it that like comic definition, that almost like cell shading vibe.
Yes, I love that. Yes,
it's an incredible style. And I've tried, and my hand's too heavy for it.
It takes a lot of practice. Well, that's why it's so exciting to do this podcast, because we want to be able to talk to people and say, hey, it's not that scary. Like it seems scary and it'll be hard at first, but it's not that difficult, and it's something that everybody can do. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of, you have recently ventured into a new genre of customizing, if you will, with your most recent one. Can you tell us about the journey on that one?
Oh my goodness. So yes, I just recently did a Denji. I had to use the head from Shinra from Fire Force, and then the body from one of the kids from It. And yeah, I made him holding his axe or his hatchet, and I had to use clay for the very first time. And I told you for weeks, I was like, I have this project, I want to do it. And I just kept stalling and stalling. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make the clay or how I'm going to make these little parts. Yeah, I just kept having like flat, like mental like images. I'm like, it's going to melt in there. I'm going to do it for too hot. And the whole pop's just going to be a puddle of mush in there. But yeah, no, I think it turned out pretty cool. I had a lot of fun with that project, just putting the axe together in his little tie, and making a pop that nobody else has is always really exciting.
Yeah,
because it's just fun to be able to have the only one so far. But yeah, we'll see. That's the other thing too that's so exciting, is we get to see what other people make too, what other Denji pops or what other Chainsaw Man pops can come out are going to be. So, but speaking of, let's see your Chainsaw Man pop.
So I prepped for this. And I have this one right here. This was my Chainsaw Man. I tried to base it off the first manga cover. And I'm actually going to give a small shout out to Ruby Funko Collecting. He made a Chainsaw Man before the hype came out. And I thought it was super cool, but I was like, I've never seen the anime. I'm not going to invest in this. So I started watching it, and immediately, just took me over. So I tried to use these little Harry Potter minis as the zombies from the scene. As you can see, I cut some of them, and had the ooze coming out. And anyone who's on my Instagram already knows that I spammed the sneak peek of Ariel on the rock with the blue eyes head.
It's so funny. Oh, I thought it was so good.
But Chainsaw Man is something that I think absolutely took the community by storm. I've seen so many Chainsaw Man customs.
Yes.
And I think that's just because of how just truly unique it has been as a show. We've all seen the generic shonen, which, don't get me wrong, I have a place in our heart. I got my Dragon Ball right here, my Naruto here. I'm all about the common shonen. I have Demon Slayer over here, Jujutsu Kaisen. I love the formula of shonen, but I think Chainsaw Man broke that barrier
Yeah.
in such a unique way. I know that we actually recently rewatched the first couple of episodes that it would be fresh. And I would love to hear your take on the series before we get into our breakdown real quick.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So the show is amazing. I love that it is very different than like you said, the common shonen. It's very it breaks that mold of, I guess, dreams and what it takes to be the best. Because everyone always has, I'm going to be the best, or I'm avenging my family. I'm, it's always those types of goals. But for him to just be like, yeah, I just like melons,
As in the fruit?
and I just want to get with the girl. Like it's so teenager, and it's just so like typical of like, that's it, like that's your goal. And it's like, yeah, that's all I need. Like it's so funny, and it's so good because he's so good at it too, that he keeps winning and he keeps figuring it out and he keeps coming through, and everyone hates him for it basically, but that's Chainsaw Man. So yeah, I think it's a great show. And the manga is awesome. I keep trying to get you to read it, but it is so good. I love the characters and the devils, and just the storyline itself is very, very good.
I think I think not reading the manga has definitely left me more confused, especially with the community, because there is such a
Yep.
community of manga readers who have gone and they've read the manga, they've broken it down. There's already YouTube videos breaking down key plot points, and I've seen a lot of spoilers out of context that
Yeah.
have absolutely blown my mind. And I'll post one out of context image that I saw. I
Right.
had to reach out to you. Which Denji writing the shark fiend
Yep.
being, and you see things like that, and it really inspires you to be like, what is happening in this story?
Mm-hmm.
It's something we had discussed before. I'm not even sure if I discussed this with you now. Now I'm mixing conversations, but I remember talking about if Aki was in any other anime, he would be the
Mm-hmm.
main character, hands
Oh,
down.
absolutely.
He's got the bravado. He's
Mm-hmm.
got the my family was killed motivation. But even still, like, even with him having, B plots, which we'll probably discuss more in the next episode.
Yes.
He still holds like a key relevancy. He almost has this mentoring role for Denji. He's teaching him manners, which he reminds him of
Right.
multiple times throughout the
Yes.
episodes, and training them with the gum.
Oh my gosh, yeah, doing little tricks for them. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to do what you can. It's like wrangling children. Like you're trying to, oh my goodness, just trying to take care of these two children that just do not listen at all.
Well, and he didn't do it with open arms at first, right?
No, not at all.
Initially, he took on Denji with great resistance, and then after their we'll say encounter with the Bat Devil,
Yes.
Power moving in with out of nowhere with her cat. Aki had a lot of concerns, of course, until he spoke with the lovely Miss Makima.
Yep.
And then opened his heart and his home up to these two delinquent children and is raising them to be proper members of society.
That's so good.
So, I know that you initially started with the manga, actually, right?
Yes.
So, kind of going from the manga to episode 1, tell me your thoughts, and we can break down a few of the other episodes as well.
Oh my goodness, I loved it. So seeing it translated to anime was something that I was really excited for, because I knew it was going to be crazy. I knew it was going to be bloody and nuts, and just seeing him flailing around with those chainsaws was going to be amazing. So I was very excited to see it. And just the animation for this season has been so cool too. I love how it's almost just the textures of it, and it's just like very kind of soft almost, but like still kind of hard drawn. It's really cool. I love it. But yeah, it was super exciting to see it get translated, because that's something that I'm always ahead in the mangas, because I can't ever get enough, and I never can wait to see what happens. I'm never that patient. So I'm always in the boat of like, oh, I can't wait till this gets animated. This is going to be so exciting, or this part's going to be nuts when people find out, or yeah, it's very exciting to be in the know.
Right. So key point from the first arc, from the first episode here,
Yes.
we see, and this might actually be a little bit of information for those who haven't seen the show yet.
Yes.
Chainsaw Man is about, without giving too many spoilers, is about a young man named Denji,
Yep.
who is struck with tragedy at a young age and saddled with a whole bunch of debt that he now has to pay off to the Yakuza. As a young man, he is there when his father is being buried, and he meets the Chainsaw Devil, this little guy right here.
Little Pochita. I love Pochita.
Yes. So he meets this devil and they form a bond. Denji allows the devil to rejuvenate itself as it is injured when they meet. And they form a contract. I will give you my blood this time to help heal yourself. But I need you to help me out of this situation that I am in. And so after years and years of this contract becoming a friendship, becoming a true partnership amongst the two of them, and Denji and Pochita struggling for every penny they can to get out of this debt.
Yes.
Which you initially see with Denji missing an eye on screen in the first episode that he had to sell for
not
this
only
debt.
that he had to sell what else did he sell? His testicle too, one of his testicles that didn't get
kidney.
much in his kidney. Yep. Just selling parts.
Just selling parts. And in doing so, he feels that he is in an uphill battle, as he is not going to get out of this debt, which is where the actual story of Chainsaw Man, I feel, really takes off. If you want to give us a quick breakdown of the encounter in the warehouse.
Yes, so Denji follows his boss that is not very nice to him to a warehouse where he says there's a zombie. Denji's unaware that this is clearly a trap because he's like, where's the devil? Is it hiding? It's like, no, this is not what's happening. So yes, he turns out this Yakuza man made a deal with the zombie devil in order to bolster their ranks in the Yakuza and their power. Yet he says, I no longer need you, Denji, and takes him out. One of the zombies stabs him and they chase him down, kill him. But that's when Pochita holds up, I don't know if Pochita's a boy or a girl. It has a girl voice, but I don't know. I don't think it's ever like one of those things that we clarified.
I guess we're gonna claim devils are unisex.
We're just saying you're there. Yeah, this Pochita held up their end of the deal to save Denji and gave himself or herself as his heart. So Denji comes back as Chainsaw Man and starts ripping up these zombies, which is rate this fight, because how cool is it to see not only him having the ripcord in his chest and he pulls it and then all the zombies start piling on him. You're like, what's happening? You're like, what is this supposed to do?
So this whole episode is really what made me fall in love with the show. And it completely caught me off guard. We meet Denji. He has this devil friend. We're thinking, oh, he's the MC. He's going to have a small, rough beginning to start his story. No, right. He gets absolutely murdered and dismembered and thrown into a dumpster.
Yes.
And seeing Pochita, bring him back together. And it seems like they formed a new contract. Am I mistaken?
Yes. He said, yeah, show me your dreams and I'll bring you back to life. So that was all Pochita wanted, was Denji to show his dreams every day and everything he does, which is kind of what he does.
Right. Seeing Denji jump out of the trash can, the dumpster, and pull that ripcord, it completely blew my mind. It's not, like I said, when it comes to the common anime, every kid wanted to go Super Saiyan. Every kid wanted to have Kurama Chakra. Every kid, wanted to have, oh goodness, other anime reference.
Insert here. Yeah.
But never as a kid did I ever think like, I want chainsaws out of my hands. I want a chainsaw out of my face with like a motor as a head, or a chainsaw dog. So seeing the initial, key items for the anime, I was like, okay, this will be a fun watch. But seeing him do that transformation, pulling the ripcord, there are now going to be kids who, hopefully not kids, but young adolescents who want to be the Chainsaw Man. I think that's just a cool thing to see, like with the anime that the next generation is going to get. But that transformation, he's getting dogpiled. Then all of a sudden, zombies go flying, the chainsaws come out, you hear that low rumble
The
before
low
everyone
rumble
goes
is so
flying.
cool. I love it. It's such a fun like noise, but it's just like it's so ominous and scary. Yeah, I love it.
Well, and even the zombie devil thinking that, oh, now you're a devil, you're one of us. Cool. Let's get out of here. Let's go be terrorists together. And Denji
Hmm.
is having no part of it.
Nope, not at all.
Takes out the zombie devil and then realizes, if I take out these Yakuza, I'm not in debt anymore.
I'm
And
not in
now we
debt. Yep.
see another almost, I hate to call it this based on what I know about the show, but a more selfishly driven reason to take care of the evil, right? He wasn't Goku taking
Yes.
care of the Frieza soldiers. He wasn't Tanjiro taking out a couple of demons. He was like, if I do this, I'm not in debt anymore. And that's why I'm going to go take care of this real quick.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, right after the zombie devil, he meets
It
Makima.
meets
So,
Makima. Yep.
can you kind of, I guess, compare the difference in the manga and the anime? Like, what are some key items that might have been done differently?
From what I've seen, they're doing a really good job translating it over. It looks like it's I wouldn't say all of it shot for shot, but it looks pretty close. Even just the directions they're coming in, like the way she comes into the warehouse and the shots of that. Um, what is interesting that I've noticed is that the subtitles are different. I've been rewatching both of them, and it's interesting to see just some of the different dialogue that they have. Like for instance, when they're trapped in the well, little spoiler, when they're in the hotel later on, he asks Himeno for a cigarette, and she's like, "It's my last one." And in the dubbed, he's very like, "All right, hand it over, it's mine." But in the other one, he's like, "Can I have it, please?" Like it's very like different. It's so like so it's kind of interesting to see that difference in the translation and how I guess the American voice actors decided to kind of act with some of the characters because it is different. He was a lot more polite, and it's interesting how he's not so polite sometimes in the dubbed. But yeah, no, I think it's a pretty good translation from the manga. I think they do a really good job of doing the shots and doing the extending some of the fights because even the first episode, I want to say they covered Denji's backstory within like a couple pages. Like it's like really
Okay.
fast. Like it's kind of a lot sped up. So you see a lot more in the anime, which they have to do a lot of times because sometimes the manga can burn through real quick.
Yeah.
You kind of just go through stuff and don't really take your time on it, but they show the story for the anime. So it's cool to see the extended stuff and how it kind of drags out a little bit longer and you see more of the story.
I like that. Yeah, I know that when Makima comes on screen in the anime, there's this almost ominous presence of like, who is this woman that's seeing this
Yes.
chainsaw man in the middle of all of these corpses, and then his first request is hold me without even hesitating. She's just like,
Yep.
oh, let me grab you. And we see the chainsaw melt away. And of course, that leads to them driving out of town and going back to the headquarters. And we definitely see a unique dynamic forming between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was again just a very different feel than I guess where I thought the show was going based on the few things I've seen. I've seen Denji laughing and losing his mind and
Yep.
chainsawing out and taking care of stuff. Here's another unique dynamic, the initial introduction between Aki and Denji.
Yes.
What are your
So
thoughts?
this is
that?
episode 2. So yeah, so this is Aki meeting him and he is just not having it. He sees this punk kid that he's just like, what is happening? This guy is clearly not ready to be a devil hunter, at least not at their level where that they've trained. And so it's very clear that he's not happy that he has to be partnered with this punk kid. And we see that when they go out and he hears, he just keeps asking questions about Makima. Denji is asking, and is she single? Does she have a boyfriend? And do I have he's just talking it up. And that's when Aki pulls him aside and starts beating the crap out of him and like, do not show your face because this is not that type of job, dude. And yeah, I thought it was very I didn't know what to think of Aki at that point when I had first started reading because I was like, is this the bully? Like this is like the Bakugo of the series that he's just always going to be mean to him. But then Denji gets his revenge and starts kicking. He goes to Nut Town and starts kicking him. Um, and it's so funny seeing that level of like, it's just so silly and so stupid. Like it's just, but it's so funny at the same time that's his like, nope, that's how I fight. Is it's nuts or nothing.
You weren't joking. Just went for the balls.
And it's so funny seeing that clearly, like, here is Aki, who's very, established, and he's doing his best to be presentable and polite and all these things. And then here's Denji, who's the complete opposite. And it's so fun to see that dynamic too, that they are very clearly on opposite sides of that spectrum, but they learn to work it out a little bit. I mean, they start going towards each other. So it definitely it's a fun dynamic. What do you think about their dynamic?
Well, I think it's really cool that there are a few things that initially put them at odds, right? Denji is clearly very into Makima, and then so of course is Aki, and that definitely drives a little bit of a wedge at first, which leads to him, beating Denji up. You're not serious, you're only in this for Makima, you're not going to last, right? Then when they go to fight the first fiend, I think a really big wedge is driven between them because we see how different their morals are, their views are.
Right.
Aki is talking about how he would welcomingly make any fiend devil suffer, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, he tells him, you want to be friends with devils, and he's like, I'd be friends with anybody that wanted to be friends with me. And Aki's like, I'll remember that, I'll keep that in mind, which actually is crazy to me because we see it go from this very disgusted mindset. And I know that we're going to talk about the hotel in a little bit, but that moment in the hotel where he saves Denji, and I'll wait till we get to that conversation point. But
no, absolutely, yeah.
It was just a night and day difference. Aki, definitely sees the value in Denji for one reason or another, whether or not we call it a friendship by that point. I think we don't really see that till the end of season 1, but he definitely sees the value in not only Denji's life, but what he can do for the overall mission.
Right.
I did also think it was interesting, we see Denji take out the first fiend, no issues, no epic battle. He just chops the head off, and he says that he did it almost as like a thing to be humane, like, right, I don't want the devil to suffer. But then do you remember what his actual motivation was?
Yeah.
For he's just chopping up the head.
All these dirty mags on the floor. He didn't want to get them all dirty. It's so funny. And it's so funny too, because he was totally pulling off like, yeah, I wanted to be more humane and just finish it real quick. And he's like, really, I just wanted to keep these magazines clean. And I like that he even tells the fiend, he's like, hey, for killing you so quickly, he's like, I'm taking these, like, these are mine now. as a service to him.
Porn is secured.
So yeah, no, it's so funny that's just his personality. And even at the end of that, when he picks up the magazines, that's when he figures out, Pochita, my real goal is melons. And like that's it's just like, and then he even says it loud in the meeting, and they're like, what? They're like, what are you talking about?
I really thought we were seeing like a Tanjiro moment, like, I want to be humane, I don't want to hurt unnecessarily. And Tanjiro, he slays his first demon, and he's like, I'm gonna hold your hand while you're dying, while you fade away. I hope you go to heaven. I hope your soul isn't tainted. And I was like, wow, we're seeing that sensitivity from Denji, and immediately
changes. Yeah, I love it. And it goes to that same mold that we're talking about, that it's breaking, is that most characters do have that change of heart, or they have, they grow in some way, and he's just like, nope, this is my goal, and I'm sticking to it. And it's such a funny goal. And it's just like, of course, that's what you're going to ask a teenage boy. What is he after? And just, girls, that's all I want. And it's so funny to see that just stick to it.
Well, and then, speaking of characters who are going to help him achieve his goal, I think now we need to talk about the introduction of power.
Oh my goodness. Talk about an introduction. just hustling down the hallway and just bursting down the door. I didn't know what I thought about Power at first. I thought she was going to be a problem, because she is very just boom in your face and just bow before me, humans, like very like she's royalty almost. So yeah, it's just she's definitely a handful And it's such a funny dynamic because you thought Denji was the one that was going to be the problem and like be this troublemaker, and then here comes Power that's completely, oh my goodness, to cranked up to 11 is so funny.
See, I think Power was I wasn't really sure what to expect because using my favorite anime, Naruto, as almost a jumping off point, I thought Denji was going to be the Naruto, Aki was going to be the Sasuke, Power is going to be the Sakura, and no, Power is definitely not. She's very loud, very to the point, and I'm curious, in the subbed and in the manga, does she have that like almost old English accent that she does?
Yeah,
Does
she talks like that all the time. Yeah, twas not me, or yeah, tis another that did this. Yeah, she's very old English. Yeah, and it's so funny seeing her talk that way too, because it almost makes you wonder, like maybe that's where the Blood Devil was from, because it takes over that personality, and maybe that's where the fear of it kind of, medieval times or something, because it's so funny hearing that speech in this day and age, like nobody's talking that way.
Right.
So to see her so like his eye power, like it's just so funny. See hearing her use that old English. But yeah, it's in the manga too, that's how she talks.
Well, that's almost backed up, at least again by the anime. Denji's sitting there talking about how he's living the dream, getting to drink sodas, but you see Power over off in the corner, face pressed against the vending machine, looking in like she is blown away by this technology.
Yep.
Like she doesn't really know what she's looking at. And I hadn't really put that together until you said that. But yeah, there's almost a chance that devil, primarily roamed the earth back in, medieval times and whatnot. So
right,
that's a cool little thing. I'm not sure we'll ever get like clarity on, but it makes
no, I don't think so. There's so many things that are like that they don't explain, and they just are. So it's cool to speculate. It's cool to wonder if that's where they got that from, or how she's like that. Yeah, for sure.
So the first episode with Power, I didn't really see anything that like really stood out to me. They kill the sea cucumber devil.
Yes.
We get to see a little bit of their dynamic, but I think their dynamic really gets fleshed out in the very next episode. I think that's episode 4.
Yes, or episode 3 is when that's when we meet the Bat Devil.
Okay, so episode 3.
Yeah.
And so that was, like you said, I wasn't sure if Power was going to be a problem. Well, and then of course they're walking to before they even walk to the house, Power explains her connection to Meowie.
Yep.
And we get to see a little bit of the backstory later in the episode, which it's definitely cool to see how some of the devils still have things that they like hold on to, and that they cherish their own dreams and aspirations and things that they love.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But getting to see her tricking Denji, and of course that hollow nut.
Oh my goodness.
When she hits Denji in the head. But what did you think of that transition? Him checking her out from the organization and them roaming the town, and I guess going up to that house. What did you think about that?
I remember being so skeptical. I was like, this seems so weird that like she's just being this friendly, and like I don't know, if I felt like there was a catch for sure. Like it wasn't as simple as she was saying it, but turns out it was all of it was a trick. He was just used as a sacrifice. But yeah, no, I remember thinking when I first saw it, I was like, oh no, like is she gonna be a problem? Like is this like one of the villains, or like one of the troublemakers that they're gonna have to deal with all the time? So yeah, it was definitely interesting to see where it was gonna go, because I was like, I don't know if I can trust her ever again. I was like, this is so sketchy. But yeah, so she leads him into the house, and there's the Bat Devil, and he's sitting there with his arm chopped off from a devil hunter, and he's still has Meowie somehow. Meowie survived. I guess he's been feeding that cat or something. Yeah, because it looked all plump like and everything. Yeah, it looked like it was eaten. And so yeah, it was very interesting to see, and it was also cool to like wait for that moment of like he's gonna mess you guys up. Like let's see where this goes, because he's totally gonna be pissed off. It's not gonna, he doesn't just give up that easily. So it was cool to see, the kind of the second betrayal between the Bat Devil and him saying like that wasn't good enough, and he ends up eating Meowie and her.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was a cool little like arc real quick to show her betrayal and then the Bat Devil's betrayal, and kind of gave that redemption of like, is he going to save her and make this better, or how's this going to go? Like, is it kind of done? He's over it, or yeah, no. So it was cool to see the anticipation of his build up to this fight.
Well, of course, we know why he went and saved
Yes.
Power.
Right, absolutely. He needed,
Um,
her deal was, that he gets to fondle her chest, and he is not giving up that easily, for sure.
No, not Denji. Denji has one goal, and he's going to make sure he achieves it.
Yep.
No matter what.
I love it. He's very, very goal driven.
Him clinging on to the Bat Devil, and they fly into town, of course, and we see their battle take place, and I think we really get to see like how he stacks up to other devils here.
Yes.
Because the Bat Devil, I mean, blew my mind how powerful the Bat Devil was. I didn't think the bats were such a common fear, but he was putting holes in buildings.
They're super
Denji
creepy,
around.
dude. They're super creepy. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, no, he was very powerful, but it was cool to see power versus power, because, or his power versus Denji's power, because it was cool to see that, he did kind of stack up a little bit. He was able to catch that car while he's saving people. He didn't save the guy in the car, but he was doing his best to save people and tell him to get out of there, and what do you do, an idiot, pretty much. But yeah, what did you think of the fight itself?
The fight was incredibly done. I loved when the Bat Devil like shot him through all of those buildings, and you're like, oh wow, someone's gonna need to come save Denji. But then we see him walk through I like a small animation thing they did. So if you notice, like when his shirt's all blown off and stuff, it's not the length of a tuck-in shirt. Like it's not something he could just tuck back in. It almost emulates a cape.
Yeah, he's like a superhero.
Right. And it was very like anime-esque, because that shirt realistically, if he tucked it, it would go down to like his knees. You know what I mean? Like, but it was very much an artistic choice they did, and we see him walk through the smoke, and he goes and chops the Bat Devil up, and we see him of course take Power and Meowie out of the remains. But that fight was super cool, because we see him being this superhero role, but of course when the when the Bat Devil's talking about, oh, you're gonna save humanity, he's like, I don't give a shit about this guy, and tosses the car. Again, it's just the anime takes almost every step it can to be like, this is not Goku, this is not Tanjiro,
not at all.
This is not, oh goodness, other anime characters,
other protagonists.
Right,
this is a Deku, and this is it. For sure, he's definitely not your typical your hero that's here, which is so cool, because he is very, I like chopping bad guys up. I don't really give a shit about other people. Like you'll as they show in later episodes too, when Kashibe is interviewing them, and he's like, what do you think about if your partners die? They'll just be like, I don't know, like I don't really have, like that's just how they are. They're just like, I'm just here and doing my best to achieve my goal, and it's just he's very one-track mind, and it's very it's almost refreshing to see, because it's that old story of like, is he going to get better, and is he going to start loving people, and like he just doesn't seem like he's going to go that way. He's just very on his goal. He has one thing in mind, and so it's funny to see that in a shonen, for sure.
Well, it's funny because he is almost like the generic rival character, you know what I mean, like Bakugo. This would be like if Bakugo had his own anime. Minus,
absolutely,
the sex drive that Denji is showing here. Like Bakugo would very much be like, I don't give a shit about this guy. Like I'm trying to kill all for one.
I'm here to be the number one. Yeah, for sure. That's such a good point. It is very much like that.
Or Vegeta. I don't care about the Namekians.
Oh my gosh,
I'm here to kill Frieza. It's very much this more selfishly driven. And normally, in the anime, we're like, see, he's gonna have a redemption arc. He's gonna come around. But with Denji, it's like, no, he doesn't need to have this arc.
This is his arc. This is all he cares about, and it's so funny. And it's not subtle either. I love how he's just very like that's what I want. Like that's all I care about. I didn't really save you to save you. He's just he needs to score, and that's all he cares about.
Now, of course, right after the Bat Devil fight, we go into the next one.
Oh my goodness.
If you want to intro us into that fight.
Right into the next fight. So as we wake up, so it starts off with the flashback of Power and Meowie. and their little relationship. But she wakes up to Denji holding her, and she's very like, for please forgive me for my deceit. Like, I can't believe you saved me. But that's when he tells her, why did you save me? And that's when he points at her, and he's like, that's why. But she agrees. She's like, yep, you held up your end. And that's as he holds his hand up, his arm gets blown off. And you're just like, what is happening? I thought he killed the Bat Devil, and turns out the Leech Devil shows up. A second devil appears, which turns out to be the Bat Devil's girlfriend. So she's a little bit pissed off about what just happened. So yeah, tell me a little bit about what you were thinking when this started.
So this episode actually like cued me into a few things I wasn't aware of. Firstly, when he got his hand shot off, I figured, oh, he'll just, pop it back out.
Throw a new one, yeah.
Because he's a devil. But also when he goes to pull out his chainsaw and start the fight, only like half of the chainsaw coming out of his face.
Not even, yeah. It's so tiny. It's like, yeah, like a little unicorn.
That kind of blew my mind, because I was like, that's again not something I'm used to in an anime. Normally they get their power up, they can use it however much they need to, they can spam it. Turns out his is due to lack of blood, and it's not just blood that gets knocked out of him during the fight. His chainsaws are actively running his reserves down as they're cutting through him, which
exactly
really was not something I expected. But literally what we've been talking about this whole episode, his different motivations, he is defending them in this fight.
Oh, absolutely.
He's very open about the fact that you all keep saying that my dream isn't a good one, but we'll see it. Whoever wins this fight clearly has the stronger dreams.
Whoever wins, yeah.
Ambitions. And I do like the fact that one, the anime almost kind of pokes fun at Denji a little bit, because really in essence he does lose that fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
At the very end he does lose, but then Aki comes out and he does the cone, and then
cone. Oh my goodness.
Comes and takes out the leash. And it's kind of funny because the anime is almost, I feel, potentially foreshadowing that Denji is going to grow out of this, because he says whoever wins this fight has the stronger dreams.
Right.
Who won the fight?
Yep.
Aki won
ends
that
up
fight.
winning. Yep. Absolutely.
And I do wonder if that's foreshadowing to the fact that Denji is going to have to grow up and assume that more traditional hero role. But at the same time, I don't really know how to say it. I think just the fact that his dreams definitely are not going to be what carries him through this journey. The dreams that him and Pochita talked about are dreams that he has as a very shallow level.
Yeah. And
the dreams that he will come to want will maybe not mirror those of Aki's and Himeno's, but more, I guess, a more worldly view of his dreams.
Right.
But I don't know. I've only seen through season 1 so far, so wherever that
wait
development goes, I'm curious to see. But I picked up on that. I was like, that's an interesting way to end that fight after what he's declared. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Denji is so hard-headed that he doesn't care about stuff like that. Like, he literally was like, let's have a dream battle, who wins is right, and then he lost. And I still think that he's just like, oh well, I still care about my dream. Like, he's just still very like, oh well, like, that didn't go my way, but I'm still gonna fight for what I want to. So yeah, so I just love that because as we even saw when he met Power, he was like, I'm not going to work with her. This girl's crazy. And then he notices her, and then he's like, yeah, she's all right. Like, he's just like, that's just Denji. He's just he's too easily swayed, but it's so funny to see that, because it's going to get him in trouble. Like,
Yep.
that, like, that's not an accurate way of seeing somebody's intention or anything like that. But yeah, he just keeps on trucking, and that's what he likes. So it's very funny that he doesn't give up.
Yeah. Speaking of that scene though, with the Fox Devil, I did you notice, and this is what I was talking about a little bit before, about how this anime just kind of took over the community. After that episode came out, how many times have you seen that template, that trend where people will like lay a little snack out on the ground or something, then do the go, and then their dog just comes out of nowhere and just steals
their little
it.
dog grabs it. I love it, dude. I love seeing trends like that. I love seeing people use it. Well, and like we talked about, I love seeing people come up with their custom figures as well, because they have Ruby Funko Collecting did one with Cone. I want to see some of the bigger guys do it too, because I want to see like if they do the 3D printing or how they're going to do that the actual fox, because it's so big. It's such a big head. It's
Yeah.
not like a little tiny devil. Like this is a pretty big sized devil. So yeah, I loved it. I love seeing trends like that. I love seeing people do their own things with art like that, or even just seeing cosplays too. I've seen a few
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man cosplays that are nuts with the moving chainsaws, and
Yes.
it's crazy. People are digging it so much, so it's so fun to see that and see the fans engage that way.
Which, it's crazy to me how much this anime has taken off, just purely due to the fact that like I really didn't see it advertised that much. I didn't really
Mhm.
see a lot of word of mouth about it before. But once the first episode dropped, it seems like everyone collectively just fell in love with it.
Mhm.
Which I think something you had mentioned before was it just really shows that word of mouth, right? Like
Yep.
people talking about it, people sharing their thoughts on it, and really just forging the community on their own. Just insane to see, and very very exciting to see
No,
how
it's
this
so
will
exciting.
shape the community a little further.
I think it's so exciting too, because it's fun to see other fans that like the same stuff that you do. So it's like to see everybody like really getting in on Chainsaw Man. It's really fun to see that. More people to talk about it with. So it's always exciting to see that. And it's just it's been a while. I mean, it hasn't been around too many years. I want to say that it started in like 2018 or 20, yeah, like it hasn't been around too long.
Yeah.
But it's still it's massive. It's crazy how quick it kind of took over. And yeah, I think it just comes from the hilarity and how awesome the fights are. I think it's such a good show.
Such a foolish reason.
All right, y'all. Well, that is all the time we have to talk about Chainsaw Man today. We will, of course, be talking a little bit more about it next episode. We will be releasing episodes once every 2 weeks.
Yep.
And
2 weeks.
Andy, we actually have a guest coming on next episode. Someone that you secured. If you want to tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so you guys tune in next time. We have our first customizer guest. It's Sparkle by Squirrely. And so yeah, he does awesome spark glitter custom pops, makes them look amazing. I have a few of his, or I have one of his that we traded, and they are amazing. So you guys, yeah, come back. Hear us talk about custom pops. Hear us talk about how we do them in our process and any tips that we have. And so yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Thank you all for watching to our first episode. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks,
And
everyone.
this episode, I believe, is going up on the 14th. We are recording a little ahead of time. So our next episode after this with Squirrely should be coming out on the 28th. So look forward to it. We're extremely excited to get to have something like this where we can bring the community together and share tips and tricks and really just bring a little more sociability to this hobby. So thank you all
Absolutely.
for tuning in, and look forward to another fantastic episode next.
I agree. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, y'all.